I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have someone here from Wesleyan Church for invocation.
May we pray together. I pray for us constantly asking God, the glorious Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, to give us spiritual wisdom and insight so that we might grow in the knowledge of God. I pray that our hearts will be flooded with light so that we may understand the confident hope he's given to those he's called, his holy people who are his rich and glorious inheritance. I also pray that we will understand the incredible greatness of God's power to us who believe him. And Father, I just pray for this council tonight as they make their decisions, because they are making decisions that will affect everyone, and we thank you for each one of them that they serve. But I just pray that you'll give them wisdom and give them discernment to know exactly what they should do and do it in a good and honorable way to make this community a better community. And I ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. Roll call.
Allen.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Rice.
Here.
Reynolds.
Here.
Jarks. Barrington.
Here.
Olson.
Here.
Dozier.
Here. Having a quorum, we will convene the meeting, and Susan is visiting relatives in California this week. And we'll be back, I think, Thursday for budget hearing. We'll start off with the approve the consent agenda items. Is there anyone on the council that has anything that they wish to pull from the consent agenda? Anyone in the audience that would wish something from the consent agenda to be removed? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. You have a roll call vote, please.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Allen.
Aye.
Dozier.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Rice.
Aye.
Barrington.
Aye. Motion carried. Citizens input. If you need to address the mayor and members of the city council on an item that was not on the agenda, please come forward to the podium, state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken at this time.
Mayor, Council, Doug Malumbi. This is strictly informational. If you remember, gosh, it's just about a year ago or so, I was before you asking permission to, as part of Pheasant Country and Pheasants Forever, to construct a picnic shelter out near the Sportsman's Club. I'm here to inform council and mayor that the shelter is done, and it looks very nice. I'm also here to invite each and every one of you Thursday, 11:30. We're going to do a dedication. Chamber is going to be there. We are a member of the chamber, and we're going to do a little ribbon cutting between 11:30 and 12:30. Lunch will be provided, and would love to see as many of you folks that can make it out there. And I've expressed the same. I talked with Dusty today and park board members as well. Interesting that I'm here today, understanding, visiting with the mayor today that budget hearings are coming up. just to make the point again, Pheasant Country has, we have done our part, and I know our agreement with the city was to finish that area with a handicap accessible fishing place. And I would hope that council keeps that in mind as they're going through the budget process. Like I said before, I know how expensive those are. And, if it doesn't happen this year, it would certainly be nice to see that happen next year. But that being said, thank you again for the opportunity for our group to give back to the city of Mitchell, who has been just outstanding in their support of our organization. So thank you very much.
Doug, are you gonna be able to have kids out there yet this summer, do you think? That was kind of...
Well, Jeff, part of this was, it was done through a Pheasants Forever program that the name of the program is No Child Left Indoors. So next year we have got a plan to use that as a kids day or so with our group. And yeah, we want to utilize it. That's why we put it up. No, anything, if Park and Rec has something that we could get in with and help that involves kids, we're behind it, guaranteed.
It turned out very nice.
It is a very nice structure. Hopefully it'll be there long after we're gone. So, no, it was fun to do, and once again, the community has been so supportive with our group. It was time to give a little bit back. So, and it wouldn't happen if we didn't get the okay from you folks. So, appreciate it. Hope to see you on Thursday.
Thanks.
Good evening, Jessica Pickett. I wanted to invite you all to come to the James Valley Community Center on Friday at 11:15. The State Office of Department on Aging is coming to our facility, and we'll give a quick 15-minute presentation. And following that, at 11:30, we are going to have a baked potato and ice cream sundae bar free of charge for anybody in the community to come learn about the senior nutrition program that we have and come have a nice great baked potato. So Thursday, you can go to their event. Friday, you can come to ours.
2 meals this week. Mayor, are you going to have anything Saturday? I'm buying for the budget hearings.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Jeff.
Hi, my name is Scott Fossum, and I would like to thank Mayor Tracy and the council and President Novak and Dakota Westland of Vera Queen of Peace for raising the level of excitement and enthusiasm in town in regards to swimming. Since the last council meeting, I've had numerous people stop me and talk to me about swimming. Those who swim for fitness, those who see it as an economic impact on for the city, and also those who have swimmers on the swim team, such as I do also. We had our state meet here a weekend ago, and the support from the towns in attendance too. They were very excited about the possibilities of attending 2 or 3 winter meets here in Mitchell also. And so just wanted to thank you for that opportunity. There's a swim shirt that says, as long as I have a lane, I have a chance, and I'm very excited about the lane that Mitchell is in right now. So thank you.
Mayor, Council, I'm Ed Potzler. I don't mean to rain on your parade, but I guess I have the counterpoint to the new pool. The city already owns 2 pools, one being at the rec center one being the outdoor pool. And the outdoor pool is a 50-meter pool, so our competition can be had there. But I'm looking at the taxpayer side of it, not the income side. The outdoor pool this year will lose about $172,000 of funds that the taxpayers will pay. In talking with the rec center people, as far as breaking even, they broke even last year on expenses, but that does not include the bond costs. And I got those today, and they're about $172,000. In just running numbers, and the numbers that I ran, I got from the middle school, from the Mitchell School District, on what their cost for a 25-meter 4-lane pool was. And I extrapolated them. Best numbers I could get. There are no numbers kept at the rec center as far as what the expenses for the pools are. So I had to use the middle school numbers. They came from 2009. And assuming a 20-year mortgage or a 20-year bond, the new pool will cost the city a little bit, will cost them more than $644,000 a year to own, operate, and pay off, which I think is a pretty big burden on the taxpayers in the city of Mitchell. If we add to that what the Hitchcock pool costs, and there are no figures for what the rec center costs, we're looking at about $1 million a year of city funds going for swimming. I swim every day. I thoroughly enjoy the facility at the rec center. It is utilized probably about 50% of the time. So utilization isn't really an issue for a bigger pool. But I would just like to keep in mind with the city council that there are taxpayers at the end of the money chain, and I'm one of them. And I think that swimming has been more than adequately funded by the city of Mitchell. And I would recommend a very careful consideration of adding a new pool to the city facilities. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else?
There's a presentation with the costs. And that's assuming the 25-meter pool, not a 50-meter pool, so the costs are a little low.
Council have anything? I have just one item. As most of you probably know, the state amateur baseball tournament starts this Wednesday and runs for 10 days in Mitchell. We're the hosts this year and again next year. And the Exchange Club has for quite a number of years fried hamburgers for everyone to enjoy. And they have manned the grills with volunteers. And last year they asked the council if they would be interested in taking a shift to fry up and serve the hamburgers. And they have again asked if we would be interested in participating. And if so, the date that they would like for us to take a shift would be on Saturday afternoon, the 16th of August. And the session would start about 10:30, 11, and run until about 3:30. So if you are able to make it and are interested, why don't you maybe try to get back to me sometime in the next few days so that I can let the Exchange Club know whether or not they have a crew to work that shift. Other than that, I don't have anything else. We'll move on. Entertain a motion for the city council to adjourn and sit on the Board of Adjustment.
Second.
Motion second to sit on the Board of Adjustment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And unless Mel would like me to read the
No.
I would entertain a motion to set the dates for August 18th, 2014 for the Board of Adjustment hearings as listed. And those are for the setting of the dates. When we do have a hearing, I will then read the comments related to that?
Well,
It would be late to do it.
Yeah, I just want to say for the people listening on the internet that it seemed to me to be an incredible waste of time for the mayor to spend 2 to 4 minutes, depending on the length of the description, and then us to have a 15-second motion. We're always going to set the date for a hearing. And so this just seems to be a more efficient way. If you're interested, the paper does a great job of listing what's on the agenda. And as the mayor said, when the things actually come up for hearing, as we have some coming up on the daycares, they get read. So I will move to set the date for these 3 hearings of August 18th. Second.
A motion and a second to set the date. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A hearing on the application of Kayla Lexus conditional use permit to operate a family daycare in her home located at 1516 North Edmund Street, legally described as Lot 11, except the south 16 feet by east 52 feet, Block 15 of Raleigh, 2nd Edition, City of Mitchell.
Mayor and council members, if I could direct your attention to the unapproved planning commission minutes. On the second page of the minutes, you would see that the planning commission held a hearing on this request and have recommended approval of the conditional use with 2 conditions. One, that the conditional use is not transferable, and second one is that the business ceases for a period of 6 months or longer, then a new application shall be required. I'll answer any questions, or if somebody here wishes to comment on it.
Move to approve conditions.
Motion and a second to approve the application. Any further comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Hearing on the application of Shannon Jones for a conditional use permit to operate a family daycare in her home located at 1518 West 5th Avenue, legally described as Lot B, Block 16, Raleigh, 2nd Edition, City of Mitchell.
Again, Mayor and council members, I could direct your attention on page 1 of the unapproved planning commission meetings, and pointing out that they did hold a hearing on this request as well, and they have a recommendation with you to approve it with 3 conditions. 1 is the conditional use is not transferable. 2, if the business ceases for a period of 6 months or longer, then a new application shall be required. And 3, that the driveway shall not be used as a drop-off for clients. If you looked in the planning commission packet, there was a reference about a shared driveway, and the applicant was aware of that and is going to be instructing all her clients not to use that as well. So she was agreeable to it and wherever. But with the planning commission kind of felt that it would be nice, it'd be good, appropriate to write it as a condition as well.
You know, I don't have any problem with this, but what happens if people use the driveway? I mean, is there some sort of judicial pulling of the permit? I mean, does the hand of God take lightning to the house? I mean, what's the punishment for violating a condition like this?
It would have to be a motion by the city council first, and if it was not complied with, then you jump to that.
In my
Being heard.
Yep. So what happened? I mean, I would assume the neighbor who shares the driveway gets irate and comes before the city council, and then we follow the steps Carl's talking about.
Yeah. In my past, where I've run into issues, and typically, it's very, very rare in my 16 years where I've had somebody who's violated. Sometimes what happens is maybe the property has changed ownership and they're just not, or a new neighbor comes in and is not aware of a situation of that. And normally I just kind of reiterate, give them a copy of the minutes, and it's just sometimes a refresher. Oh, yeah, by the way, to do that. And then obviously if things don't, to do that, don't rectify themselves, then obviously we would get legal counsel. But I would say majority of the time it's just people forget that that's one of the conditions or something like that. And I try the neighborly approach, and usually it's got to try to justify it. And
yeah, like I say, I don't have any issue, but usually like the first 2 conditions are sort of automatic,
Right.
and nothing needs to happen. And then you get a condition, or they have to put up a fence, and then
Right.
until you put up a fence, you can't do whatever.
Right.
So I was just curious.
Yeah.
I'd move to approve with the conditions.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the request. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Entertained a motion for the Board of Adjustment to adjourn and the City Council reconvene in regular session. So moved. Second. Motion and second to reconvene in regular session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Award the bid for the rock salt project number 2014-27.
We had two bidders on this project, Meridian Grain and Nebraska Salt and Grain. The low bid was Meridian Grain out of Freeman at $59 a ton. For your information, last year's price was $57 a ton.
Did we buy the same amount last year?
Approximately, yeah. It was around 400 ton, I think we used throughout the year. But these are just basically for getting unit prices. I tried something different to see if there was a price difference from, like, if we could fill up the shed in the summer versus the winter, and Nebraska Salt and Grain thought there would be, but at a higher price than what Meridian would. So.
Have we used Meridian in the past?
Yes, we have. We've actually, Meridian has been our supplier for quite a few number of years here, so they do a good job for us. So. And the contract is just based on as needed. It doesn't mean that we have to purchase the 700 ton that was listed in approximately, so.
Motion to award the rock salt project to Meridian Grain.
Second. I have a motion and second to award the salt bid to Meridian Grain for $59 a ton. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolutions, resolution number 3208, the plat of Lot 1, Henry Creek Estates, a subdivision in the northeast one quarter of Section 14, Township 102 North, Range 60 west of the 50 Avenue.
If I could direct your attention to the Planning Commission packet as well, and I believe there's also a copy of this plat in your planning, or in your council packet. Basically what they are doing, this is, from my understanding, is the very last lot of this subdivision, and this is on its way to the county. Some of you may be wondering why we're seeing this so far out of the city limits. It's just a reminder that state law says that if there are any plats within 3 miles of the municipality, have to be approved by the council as well, but they are subject to county regulations. So, and my understanding is this is going to be before the county tomorrow.
Motion to approve resolution 3208.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve resolution 3208. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution 3209, a plat of lots 2A and 2B, Block 2 of B and J. DeVries First Edition in the northeast one quarter of Section 31, Township 104 North, Range 60 west of the 50 M.
Again, the Planning Commission considered this plat as well. For those of you who are not familiar where this is kind of just north of Maui Drive, Daly Drive, in that area. And what it is where you see the way on the corner, the southeast corner of the plat, there's a house right there. And so what it is the individual is wishing to retain, or to transfer the house part, but retaining all the other parts of the part of the property. So, Planning Commission did consider this. You also probably noted, I believe we made it a reference on the plat about access easement, and that is referenced there as well. So, again, they recommend approval of this.
Move approval of resolution 3209.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve resolution 3209. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 3210, a plat of lots 4 and 5, Block 8 of CJM Second Edition, and a portion of Livesay Lane, and a portion of Jamaica's Avenue in the northwest one quarter of Section 32, Township 104 North, Range 60 west of the 50 M.
Again, you have a copy of this in your planning, or your council packets as well. The Planning Commission did look at this plat and have recommended approval. For those who may not know where exactly this is straight north of North Harmon Drive. If kind of there's a clover trees up, be directly east of 407th or North Olman Street. And this, what we considered was that, how this follows the master plan that's presented out there.
Move to approve resolution 3210.
Motion second to approve resolution 3210. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Second reading and adoption, ordinance 2482, an ordinance amending chapter 9-1 of the Mitchell City Code by adopting the 2012 edition of the International Fire Code and making other amendments as necessary to reflect the adoption of said code.
Well, we reworked it and eliminated 1 and 2 dwelling residences, save and except those which are rentals regarding sprinklers, systems, and escape routes, and 3 and 4 rental dwelling units, save and except rentals. And there again, we, in respect to smoke alarms and appropriate escape routes from any sleeping area or area, prevent the basement apartment from being a fire trap or whatever. That's essentially it. Now, this may be the first installment, if you will. We may find other things. We did review Sioux Falls' adoption, and they had quite a lengthy list of exceptions and whatnot, about half of which related to permitting. And we addressed that simply by saying we will permits are required only in respect to open burning, fireworks and pyrotechnics and explosives. And as far as fireworks and pyrotechnics, City Council, other city ordinance requires that approval from City Council in any event. So I'm fine with this. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, or potentially the fire marshal would respond.
I'd like to drag the fire marshal up for some questions. I'm assuming that if I own a rental property now, that I am under the old code, whatever that was, that this doesn't apply to a rental that is already up or currently under construction.
Correct. Save and except fire alarms and exit routes.
Exactly. So anything else would be not under this code, except for we're putting new verbiage where smoke detectors and exiting would be added in.
Now, my memory is a little vague, but I recall when I was in the legislature that there were certain of these codes that you were grandfathered until you did something to the structure.
Correct.
And then if you did something to the structure, all the new rules come into effect.
Correct. Or if you would change the structure. So for instance, if you had a business somewhere in town and all of a sudden you took that business and changed it into apartments, that would change the code and change things that way.
So I have a rental, I'm putting in new carpets, that's okay.
That's okay.
But I'm taking a wall out, now I'm under the new.
Right. If you take walls out, you add bedrooms, you put bedrooms below a grade or above a grade or something along that line, it might change, it would change the code.
A simple wall may not.
Right. Yep.
I can't tell you exactly what that gradient is, at what point you would come under the new code, but.
And all those plans and things like that go between
The
building
permit's
inspector
required.
and then myself on all those things. So we see all that before it gets done, so.
Yeah.
Now, is there some central place, is it you, is it somebody else, that if I were a landlord in town, or I'm somebody watching this and now I'm concerned about my property, that I can go to and get my questions answered?
Well, the easiest way is just to call the fire department or to contact me and we can go through it, or to contact John in the building inspection area, and we can answer whatever questions they may have. So, yep, very easy.
Okay.
Yeah, regarding your question, Councilperson Olson, regarding when the new code would apply, my belief is that if it's a building permit is required, certain things building permits are not required for. You shingle your house, put in new carpets and things of that nature. There's a point, I can't tell you exactly what it is, but I'm sure that John and Marius, I would
Well, that's a good rule
expect
of
they would
thumb
have a handle on that.
for the public. If you have a building permit, then you've got the new regulations
Right.
to deal with.
Yep, correct.
What happens if I'm just building a garage? You know what I'm saying? So I have my rental unit up, now I'm building a garage.
I don't see any of that. All the residential stuff goes all through John and takes care of all that stuff. Separation might come to me if something's too close to a house or something like that. But pretty much the only thing I see is business type things, where new businesses are coming in, or businesses are changing their floor plan or something like that. That's more what I would see. John sees the majority, 99.9% of all the residential stuff here in town, so.
And I know I'm being like a cat on a screen door, but again, when I was in the legislature, there would be a parade of lawyers saying, now, if you did this,
Yep.
we'll sue for that.
Yep.
Insurance won't cover for this, so I just want to make sure that we're.
Right, by us, the verbiage about the 1 and 2 family dwelling thing was in there is very vague. So we cleaned that up and we just plain came out and said 1 and 2 family dwellings is out of the fire code to stay away from that type of legality, so.
It's arguable whether it was in there or not. I
Right.
don't read it in there, but
It is
he
very
says it
vague,
is.
but, so,
I would question whether it would be adequate.
right. So it's
By
much
inference
better.
or implication, if you go far enough, you can infer another code, which infers another code, which infers another code, which doesn't apply to residential or something like that. Something along that line. You just made it straightforward.
John, you had some comments?
Yeah, John's got.
I just want to clarify a little bit about, you said what would happen if they change, it usually based on a change of use, like Marius alluded to. But the South Dakota Board of Technical Professionals in Rapid City has a list of exemptions, and they say when a restaurant must have a building permit and design professionals have to oversee the project. And it has square footage of a hospital when they have to have design professionals oversee the project. And a building permit, it leaves it somewhat up to the building official. You know, if you're making one room into a bedroom, we're not gonna require a permit for that, but we will require that they have one egress window to the outside, and they'll call us on that. And little things like shingling, painting, putting in new windows, we don't write permits for those. A handful of cities do, and you get a mixed opinion from the public, whether they like that or don't like it. Most of them don't. Of course, it adds expense. But mostly,
How are you going to inspect all the shingling jobs?
yeah, we did it when the big hailstorm hit. We did them at random, and it worked pretty good. We went out at Saturday afternoon for 2 hours some days, and Thursday night for 2 hours some days, and it really kept people, knowing that, hey, we're coming any time. But the rentals in the town, we went to try to get a rental inspection one time, and it didn't fly. Well, when they take a house and make it into a rental, it still falls under the 1 or 2 family dwelling if there's two families in it. When you make it into a 3-unit, then it falls under the International Building Code, not the residential code. Different set of rules. And even if they have a 3-unit and they make it into a 4-unit, they squeeze another 4-unit in there somehow with the basement. They can still do that without a permit because it's still the same use. But then once they get greater than 5 units, then now by the new South Dakota Fire Code, it must be sprinkled. It used to be 16 units. That came through last year. And me and Marius read a bunch of that. And soon to follow will be the 2012 Building Code and Residential Code and existing Building Code, which consists of about 1,528 pages. It used to be 450. So getting the fire code through was a nice thing to do, but it's the small one. The big ones are coming yet. And we look at Sioux Falls a lot, but remember they have 17 to 21 people in their department, and they have their own plumbing journeymen that write their plumbing code. They have their own electricians hired for the city that write their own electrical code. And they have their own fire people that write their own fire code. And they kind of interject all their own stuff in with the International Building Code, and then they amend it. And there's 101 or 13 pages of amendments if you go through all 4 books. The fire code, the building code, the residential code, and existing building code. And it gets more and more people at the last South Dakota Building Association meetings we've been to have just started to adopt the code as a whole and get just the basic amendments out, like the fire sprinkler and 1 and 2 family dwellings, the sheetrock in certain areas, and fire separations. And fire and egress are the 2 main ones you got to really pay attention to, like the life safety ones. And that'll be forthcoming.
I'll move to put ordinance 2482 on second reading.
As amended?
Yes, as amended.
We have a motion second to place ordinance 2482 as amended on second reading. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 2482. Roll call vote, please.
Wright.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Brochus.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Gallo. Thomas.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Motion carried.
I appreciate your work.
Thank you. Ordinance 2484, an ordinance of the city of Mitchell, South Dakota, rezoning the real property legally described as the south 60 feet of lot 6, block 23, original addition, city of Mitchell, Davidson County. That's 301 East Hanson Avenue.
Mayor and council, if I could direct your attention to the map that's right behind the ordinance, just to refresh your memory. You may recall that, well, not this last meeting, but the meeting before that, the Planning Commission did recommend approval of this rezoning. You may recall that the purpose of this was there's a house right up on against Hanson, and then there was a looks like an accessory building, but it used to be at one point a commercial operation, like an old fire extinguisher store, I believe, or service. And so at the Planning Commission's recommendation, they recommend, and the individual wishes to use it more for commercial purposes, and it wasn't feasible for a lot of variety of reasons not to make it residential. So, and the 60 feet was trying to encompass the building and also some additional room for parking in there as well. So that's how we came up with the 60 feet.
Move to put ordinance 2485 on second reading.
Second. Motion and a second to place ordinance 2484 on second reading. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Move to adopt. Second.
Motion second to adopt ordinance 2484. Roll call vote, please.
Erickson.
Aye.
Brochus.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Gallo. Thomas.
Aye.
Motion carried. Second reading and adoption of ordinance 2485, rezoning the real property within Westwood First Edition and Pheasant Street from TWC or Transportation Warehousing in Commercial District to R4 High Density Residential District.
Again, Mayor and Council, if I could direct your attention to that map that is right behind the ordinance. This was trying to illustrate what the individual is requesting. As you see, you can see two dots. Those are the two parcels that the individual wishes to rezone from TWC to R4. And if you recall, there's a 600-foot strip, and where you see 600 feet indicated there, that is where the R4 designation is presently. And so those apartments that are under construction, the second apartment, if one ever comes to fruition to the south, would remain in the 600 feet. What the individual wishes to do is to perhaps develop additional multifamily dwellings in those two strips of property that are indicated on the map. And so this is what to accommodate it. And I see Mr. Macheski is here if you've got specific questions of him.
Questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve ordinance 2485.
Second.
Second reading.
Or second reading.
I have a motion and a second to place ordinance 2485 on second reading. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Move to adopt.
Second. Motion second to adopt ordinance 2485. Roll call vote, please.
Thomas.
Aye.
Gallo.
Aye.
Brochus.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Jordan. Smith.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Second reading and adoption of ordinance 2486, supplemental appropriations.
Move to put 2486 on second reading.
Second. Motion second to place ordinance 2486 on second reading. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I just have one question on the golf repair and maintenance for 11,000. What are we repairing and maintaining for 11,000?
Excuse me, what was the question?
It's 11,000 for repair and maintenance. I'm wondering, are we repairing?
The control panel, the control panel at the pump house is synced with the central irrigation control in my office. And the control panel is outdated. It's a touch panel, and with the humidity and it's probably 10 years old. But Rainbird would no longer service that, and they wanted $44,000 to replace it. I refused to cave into them, and Dakota Pump has a lot of expertise, has two very talented pump people, and they're ensuring me that they can replace that for the $97.50, I believe it was. Then there'll be some incidental cost along with that, small amount. But it's actually a control. Right now, the only controls I have are putting emergency bypass on and running wide open all night long. If something malfunctions between the central and the pump house, we're going to blow pipe out of the ground for.
So you're saving us $33,000.
Yes, sir.
Right.
But I fought it for 3 years, hoping I could get some resolve with Rainbird, and they let go a lot of. They were through a few years of downsizing. They let go a lot of the people that wrote these programs, and now they're hiring new people back, and the new people don't know how to get into these old systems. So.
Well, I just think it's important for the public, when they read the figures, they just read the figures, and they don't understand that there would be perhaps potentially higher costs. So, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion and a second to adopt ordinance 2486. Roll call vote, please.
Olson?
Aye.
Blake?
Aye.
Carmen?
Aye.
Brochus? Jackson?
Aye.
Miller? Smith?
Aye.
The ordinance is adopted. Second reading and adoption of ordinance 2488, an ordinance amending section 4-2-3C, amending permitted Sunday sales by off-sale liquor licenses.
I'm Carmen Johnson. My memory is vague on what that ordinance, amending ordinance is. Could you reread that part to me, or is that too long?
It would basically allow the sale of hard liquor on Sunday.
Okay.
We currently allow beer sales and wine
Right.
sales if you have the proper license, but we do not allow the sale of hard liquor on Sunday. This would allow the hard
Okay.
sale by county fair or whoever would sell.
Right, okay. But it's not, it's limited, it's for the whole county, countywide, right?
No, this would be the city of Mitchell.
Just the city, okay. But I'm wondering about amending the ordinance.
Well, what this does, right now you could buy Jack Daniels by the drink at Ruby Tuesday.
Correct.
on
I
Sunday.
understand all that, right.
So what this would do is, right now, the ordinance says no hard
Right.
liquor Sunday
Right.
package
Right.
sales. By amending it, you take that out and you would basically say it's okay to
Right.
sell hard liquor.
My question is, could this be amended so that it was only for special events and not for sale in grocery stores and so forth on Sunday? Or is it too late to do that?
Well, anything's possible, but if you were going to have a special event, you would be selling it by the drink, and you probably wouldn't be running to a liquor store to buy it on the Sunday. You would probably already have it.
Okay, that was my question. Okay, then I would just like to read this statement. I'm wondering what the real reason is for this amendment and who does it really benefit. I understand this is an amendment, but still feel compelled to state my view on it. If I am correct, this means hard liquor, whiskey, rum, and so forth could be purchased from any off-sales establishment, including grocery stores on Sunday. This is a hypothetical question, but if a parent has made a choice between groceries and liquors, and if that parent has a problem with liquor, do you think they would always make the right choice? We have a snack program here in town, and there are around 400 children being served, if I have my numbers correct. If this ordinance passes, we may have more children needing food over the weekends. I speak for the children who are home on weekends with their family, and just maybe they would be going to Burger King or McDonald's or some other food establishment with their parents and not just watching their parents. Well, you know the rest. I hope you will reconsider the passage of this ordinance. Thank you for listening.
Joanne Garrett. I'm here as a very frustrated citizen because I'm one of those petition carriers. And 4 years ago, we voted on this issue, and now it's back again, which seems a very short period of time. I'm wondering who's clamoring to have this. Is it a few businesses? Is it a lot of businesses? Is it the grocery stores? Can you tell me? How did this all come about?
Well, actually, the South Dakota retailers came 2 weeks ago and said that they had some clientele that they asked if they would come forth and ask the city council to consider it. So there's no knowledge of exactly who, other than the South Dakota retailers, came forward.
I just think, you know, if businesses are struggling so much that they have to have liquor sales on Sunday, hard liquor, there must be another problem someplace with their businesses. And I don't understand why we continue to keep expanding liquor in this town. We've had so many deaths of young people, and nobody seems to care. We just, you know, we have to have liquor at the Corn Palace, we have to have liquor for every event that happens, and now we just want to add Sunday to it. And it breaks my heart, because I know some of these families, and I know some alcoholics too, and what it does to families. It just seems to me that some members of this council are catering to the special interests of the city. But you got to remember, you're working for the commoners, who are the vast majority who live in this city. Thank you.
I'm Ed Potzler again. Personally, I believe that Sunday isn't going to make or break alcohol sales in the city of Mitchell. But the question I would have, and it would be to the Chief of Public Safety, is are there any statistics that show alcohol-related incidents different between being on Saturday and being on Sunday? If there is, then I think the City Council has to consider safety considerations as far as increasing alcohol consumption in our city. If not, then it's an economic situation more than anything else. So my question would be to the chief is, are there statistical differences in the amount of alcohol incidents between Saturday, which is a holiday, which is a weekend, and Sunday, which is a weekend? Thank you for your time.
I don't know what statistics specifically we would look at, but most of the stats we deal with involves on sale, and that's already going. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all of them.
I've done some research on trying to look at that same issue. The problem I keep running into is there are statistics out there for Saturday, liquor is available, beer, wine, everything else. Sunday, nothing available. I cannot find any statistics. We have beer for sale on Sunday. We have wine for sale on Sunday. Alcohol is available on Sunday.
It'd be different if we didn't have any alcohol on Sunday.
We're not changing that. Alcohol is still available whether we pass this or don't pass it. But I can't find any statistics where only one type of alcohol is not available on Sunday and all other alcohol.
I don't know either. Because the hard liquor is already available for sale on Sunday.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and I had the,
So that's
kind of
why
had the same question of, is there,
tough to differentiate.
is there,
I'd say Friday and Saturday are still our biggest alcohol-related incident nights, because most people don't have to work the next day.
Thank you. Really, the only thing you could look at maybe would be domestic violence. You know,
Right.
and that's not even a perfect,
No,
because, you know.
and we see that about
Is
every
it
night of the
because of
week.
the Jack Daniels, or is it because of the 212-pack?
Or is it because of the meth, or marijuana, or this prescription drugs, or the other stuff involved, so.
My big thing on this is that the citizens worked really hard on the petition last time to get out the vote. It was voted down. I'm going to vote no, and I think if the people that want to sell it, let them go out and get the petitions. Let them get the signatures to bring it to a vote of the people. Don't make the same people that were successful last time do it.
You know, as long as we're sort of discussing, and I realize, Carl, that the recent wine thing, we can't adjust for a year, but assume for a moment we could. If I suggested that we take wine off the street, everybody on this council would be saying, people just voted on that, for crying out loud. Don't undo the wishes of the people. And to me, this is the same thing. We've really had only one intervening election, and that's the most recent election. To me, this vote isn't about alcohol. This is about our integrity in the electoral process. We had two examples last time. One was the farmer who comes to town on Sunday once a week, and with all due respect, I don't think it's the 1930s anymore. I think people come to town more often than that.
I hope.
And the first time you come to town on a Sunday to go to church and buy your Jack Daniels, which is an interesting combination, and you couldn't do it, you'd come on a different day. And then the other example was the out-of-state hunter who doesn't know the rules, and I think that's frankly a better example. But if that out-of-state hunter can't buy that bottle of Jack Daniels on Sunday, what's he going to do? He's going to go to Ruby Tuesday, he's going to go to Chef Louis, he's going to have himself a steak, he's going to have 4 or 5 drinks there, and the economic benefit, I would argue, would be greater by forcing him out of that room. So I understand that we have a very convoluted system. You know, why is it okay to buy beer and wine on Sunday but not hard liquor? And the reason it's not okay is because the people in an election, one election ago, said it wasn't okay. I don't think this is going to add any economic development. That farmer's going to come on Saturday. That hunter's going to buy the bottle on Monday. He's not leaving Mitchell because he can't buy the bottle. He's going to go out to Chef Louis or some other place that serves the hard liquor and have a couple of drinks there. This is really about respecting the people who went out with the petitions and respecting the voters who voted at roughly the same margin as the wine people did. You know, I lost the wine vote, but people get what they want. They want wine on the street. That's what they voted for, and then it'll be up to us to accommodate it, maybe with bump outs to the sidewalk like Sioux Falls is doing or whatever. I don't see any difference here. I think this is a vote about integrity. I don't think this is a vote about alcohol at all.
You know, I was kind of hoping, I voted yes last time for the first reading so I could get feedback. And I virtually, I think, had one call, which was really kind of disappointing. And that's one call from on either side. So it kind of boiled down to, well, if it's not that big of an issue, you know, that you only get one call, what is the real issue? And in this case, you know, I kind of default back to Nelson. Well, then people voted. So, you know, I agree with Randy. If somebody's going to bring it up, let them bring it up. So, I think that's a good point.
Well, one thing I want to add too, and I'm obviously we know where I stand on the issue, and it probably is the reason why I got no negative phone calls, because I knew what my stance was going to be on it. But from going back 4 years ago, for some of the new that are on the council, when this was an issue, we had it. This chamber room was absolutely full, packed. Like I mentioned the other night when we talked, things change, and over time people change and stuff like that. And I think what I'm looking at tonight is the amount of phone calls you got, Dave, because you should have got a lot more. Because 4 years ago, I got a lot of phone calls on both ways, but more negative than positive, to be honest with you. And this time I didn't get any, but once again, everybody knows where my stance is at. But I question on how many people got phone calls around here. But tonight, I think, also makes a statement to those people that are on the ladder of teeing back and forth, because I know we're roughly going to have about 4 or 5 people who are going to speak tonight on behalf of, this is not a no, but compared to 50 that were in here probably 4 years ago, So I wonder what has changed, why we don't have those people in here tonight, besides the point that maybe they're thinking, is it really that much of a negative? Maybe we do want a chance to vote on it again, because maybe the vote we did 4 years ago wasn't the one we wanted. So keep that in consideration too on those that have called and how many people are sitting here tonight, because we know when we have hot issues, what goes on. You're not going to get the positive people out. You always get the negative ones. And tonight, our chamber is pretty empty, besides our department heads.
Before the Reverend speaks, I would posit another reason why people aren't here, and that is they're disappointed. And that is they've given up because nobody listens to them. They go out, they get a petition, they get an election, they win, and then they don't. And so what difference does it make if they come or not? The city council's not going to listen anyway. I think that's the other interpretation you could have of perhaps fewer phone calls and fewer people tonight.
Mayor and city council members, I hadn't planned to speak. I thought you probably already know where I stand. A couple things just have come up that I think need to be said. Last time, 2 weeks ago, we heard that, well, we need to throw it out and let the people vote on it again. And my question was, how long does no last? And Mr. Cook said, according to the law, I guess it's according to law, it only lasts a year.
Yeah, the city council could not enact an ordinance in contravention of either an initiated or referred vote for a period of 1 year.
In less than a year.
Same as the legislature.
But I think Mr. Olson is correct. I've had a lot of people talk to me. And in fact, when I left here the other day, 2 weeks ago, I started getting people asking me, are you going to circulate a petition? And I said, they haven't even voted on it yet. But because the first reading went positive according to this, the people were already saying, are you going to circulate another petition? I said, that I got a lot of things to do. I don't really want to. But I think it was a pretty good idea for those who want to change it. Why not let them circulate the petition? And I really have I'm sitting here as a citizen, and I'm watching the city council, and I can't believe, I'll tell you what, I can't believe what I heard tonight, that the representatives of our city don't know who's behind this. Don't tell me that nobody in this committee, nobody on this council knows who in Mitchell wants this to happen. If we have to listen to the South Dakota retailers come in here out of nowhere and tell our city council what to do, then why don't we just disband and just have the Retailers Association and some of these other groups run our business for us? We elect our city council to represent Mitchell. And I'm sorry, but what I heard tonight was, well, we really don't know who wants this. I don't believe that. I don't think that's a true statement. Somebody in here knows who wants it. And somebody knows who asked the Retailers Association to come to support it 2 weeks ago. So, I mean, how dumb are we? We're just common citizens, but we're not that dumb. Somebody out there does want it. And somebody knows who wants it. And the question's been asked, and it was never answered accurately, and I don't think it was answered truthfully. Now, I haven't had a chance to talk to everybody in here, but I've talked to your boss, and I know what he said. And he said he doesn't like it. Because whether you believe it or not, governments are instituted by God. I had an atheist call me yesterday, day before yesterday, really gave me a thing or two about my going around and giving people a tract that has a plan of salvation on the back. And he was wondering what provoked me to do such a thing. What provoked me to do that is because I told him, I said, we got a different frame of reference. My frame of reference is, I believe the Word of God is true. And the Word of God says governments are instituted by God for the good of the people. And I've never seen any good come to the people through alcohol. Now, it's been said, you can buy beer on Sunday, you can buy wine on Sunday. What's the difference between buying beer and whiskey on Sunday? My point has always been, and you've heard me say it, we're going in the wrong direction, gentlemen. We're going further away from what is right. What's right is there is an absolute. Now, see, I've talked to your boss because I talked to God. And he's your boss. You don't have to believe that, but that's irrelevant because he is. And I sent a letter out. I think most of you probably got it. I got letters back from the county, from the city, from the state, from the national. I got a letter back from Barack Obama thanking me. No, he probably never saw my letter, but somebody sent me one from his office thanking me for praying for him. And I'll tell you, I pray for every one of you by name every week on Tuesdays. And I pray that God gives you wisdom. And when I have the opportunity to come up here representing our church to lead in the invocation, I pray that God gives this council wisdom to do what's right. Now, I know you've got a lot of pressures. I wouldn't take this job. I've got one that's taken my time. But I know what's right because I know what the bottom line is. We stood and saluted that flag, and we said, one nation under God. Well, what does that mean? That means that we really believe that there's a God. And if we believe there's a God, wouldn't we want to do what God wants to do? And there's nothing in the Bible that says, go out and sell more booze. But there's plenty that says, woe to him that gives his brother strong drink. Watch out for kings and those who are in authority and government officials who get overtaken with alcohol. Gentlemen, you can interpret that however you want to, but to a certain degree, I beg you, don't become overtaken with alcohol because you will damage your community. I realize that we have an uphill battle. Some of us are willing to stand up and talk about it, but a lot of people are tired. The Daily Republic printed it. It says, the city voted against this, they voted against this, they voted against this, they voted against this, and bingo, we won one. Okay, let's change everything. And somebody said last time, well, we need to bring it up again because nobody had any information on it the last time around. Your best supporter for those who like alcohol is the newspaper. They were begging for a debate on this wine thing, and nobody would talk. Now, it did go up, it passed. But they're the biggest cheerleader there is. You had plenty. There was nobody last time that didn't know what was going on about that wine thing 4 years ago. There was plenty in the paper about it. I'd just like to say that we have laws that are supposed to guide and direct for the benefit of society. I doubt one person on this committee, one person on this council could give me one benefit to society for alcohol. I sat there in the courtroom for years watching the magistrate court, and one after another after another. Read that big sheet when it comes out in the paper. How many things on that agenda or how many things on that report, court report, are alcohol related? Including petty theft, disorderly conduct, simple assault, domestic abuse, DUI, underage consumption, underage possession. Go through and just add them up. Just chart them out. See how many things that we go through this court system in Mitchell, in this county court, that are alcohol related. And then tell me that alcohol is a positive thing in our community. Whether this goes down or gets passed tonight is not going to eliminate all the alcohol in the community. But we have an opportunity to do right. I do. I pray by name. I go down the list. I go around the table because I know where you sit. And in my mind, I just keep praying. I go around the table and I pray that everybody here would do right and have wisdom. It doesn't mean it always happens, but I'll continue to pray. I'd appreciate it if you pray for me. I don't know how many of you have, but I'd appreciate that. I need it too. But I would ask you to consider doing what's right. I don't think that if it's an outside influence coming in from peer, making your plans for you, that's a sad thing. Stand up, do what's right. Thank you.
As Ray's make his way up here, I don't know exactly, rebuttal on this a little bit on possibly of who, if there's an individual that is pushing this issue or not, but typically from my experience in the retail business, the South Dakota retailers obviously represent a large amount of people, and they represent several different entities that obviously have the right to sell alcoholic beverages. And I would imagine the group, or say if there's 12 places that can have the right to sell liquor if we would change the ordinance, I would imagine they have all voiced their concern to the South Dakota retailers because they're in the business. And if any of you have been involved in a business yourself or owned a business, you always take a look at where you can possibly make another dime at. And if they can make roughly $500 to $1,000 each, or whatever that number would be a week, over the course of a year's time, it's $52,000 or whatever it may be. So I don't think there's one individual. I don't know the answer, but just to give some foresight to him, I would imagine South Dakota retailers is representing all of the establishments, probably to some extent, in town, to give them an opportunity to change their license. If that establishment is against Sunday liquor sales, they don't have to change their license. They don't have to offer hard liquor. They can stay right where they're at, offering no alcohol or offering just beer. It's just an opportunity for them to decide if they want to change their opportunity. So that's what I'm thinking the liquor retailers is doing, is they're representing a group of people, not just one individual.
I'm Ray Borgen, and I'm a recovering alcoholic. I've said that before. I think everybody in town probably knows it. I recognize that as being my problem, not everybody else's. But I will tell you that since I quit drinking, none of my good friends, none of my family, or anybody that knew me when I was taking advantage of the ability to buy alcohol, just about any place you go into now, but none of those people have asked me to please start drinking again. Not a single one of them, you know? And I've had a lot of them that have told me, boy, we sure like being around you a lot better when you're not drinking. I think that, I know that there's money made by the retailers, but I sell chocolate and Yankee candles for fundraising purposes. And I just had a kid that I was paying to help me Saturday and Sunday to carry some stuff, do a little putting together my fence and stuff like that. He was there on Saturday, so I gave him, for, I don't know, he was there 3 hours, something like that. I gave him $50. He was supposed to come back on Sunday. He never showed up again. I had to do it myself. I found out he was out drinking, you know. I think if you look at what the retailers are making on the booze, and then you look at your other businesses in town with their absenteeism, their low productivity, and all the other stuff that goes with people that have been drinking the night before, I think you find out that businesses in this country would be one whale of a lot better off if there was no such thing as booze. Thank you.
I just want to reiterate briefly, for me, this is not a religious question, with all due respect to people who raise that. This is not an alcohol question for me. It's a question of integrity in the democratic system and trust in voters that frankly is being eroded by efforts at undermining things that people vote on and get successfully passed, and then they have to fight it again and again and again and again. So I don't see any economic advantage. I think any economic disadvantage is made up by sale by the drink in restaurants. No licensee will give up a competitive advantage. If this is allowed, every licensee will have to offer it in town. I think that argument is disingenuous. And I guess I would urge the council to respect the voters' decision.
I'm going to make a motion to go ahead and deny ordinance 2488.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to deny ordinance 24.
Deny second reading. We'll kill it. Deny its second reading, which will heat it, kill it.
Yes. And a yes or an aye vote would uphold the denial of the
Second reading.
ordinance. We'll have a roll call vote, please.
Please? No.
Aye.
Aye.
Harrington?
No.
Allen?
Aye.
Nay. No.
Aye.
4 yes.
The motion to deny the second reading would prevail.
So just a clarification, Carl, I think you looked, we talked today, and you were going to look to see if this could be referred. I was unsure if that is the case, if there was a no vote, that since we voted on it as council, there is the ability to refer this?
Yes, that's correct, but that can be done anytime, whether you voted or whether that died for lack of a motion at all. And it would be in the form of an initiated measure, which takes the same form as a referendum. It just can be done anytime.
Okay.
We've never had that come up before.
No, the last time there was an initiative, I think, was the trees.
So we voted in favor of moving forward on that, but I think the initiative would put it in Parkland. Okay.
First reading, ordinance 2489, supplemental appropriations.
Move to place ordinance 2489 on first reading.
Second.
Motion and a second to place ordinance 2489 on first reading. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.